Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Saturday, July 15th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card that we are starting our day off with today is the 4 of Cups in its reversal. This is overcoming some of that blockage that we saw yesterday coming through in the daily collective read. If you missed it, it is up on my YouTube channel. You can catch it there. It was a big one. This is a moment, again, and this makes a lot of sense as it relates to some of the bottom of the card information that we received on today's card of the day, which you can see over on my Instagram page. The card that we pulled for the bottom of the deck, coming in combination with our Magician card, was specifically related to taking new approaches, moving into spaces and places of unconventionality right now. And so a lot of the work that you're going to be finding yourself doing today is not necessarily taking the choices that you normally would, but really considering new approaches as you proceed forward from this point. This is going to allow for some of that shift in focus that we saw that was being identified in that reorientation of situations and circumstances from the past that I recognized yesterday, coming through right now with that change of perspective, now allowing you to be able to take different courses of action for yourself that may stray from some of your typical routines, typical habits. Some of this is a lot of that healing work that we also identified coming through with that devil in its reversal that we received yesterday as well. You are recognizing that you are on a healing journey, and that is leading you to make different choices to determine and define different outcomes for yourself as you proceed forward from this point. Second card that we are coming through on with right now with our 5-card spread is, we've got here coming through right now the Fool in its reversal. This speaks a lot to those different approaches, those different choices that you're making at this time. Because what we're really seeing here coming to the surface right now is the fact that you are embarking on new pathways, you're embarking on new journeys. This is allowing some of that cycling to close that we saw coming through with the Death card in its reversal just a few days ago. Because if you remember what we identified with the Death card in its reversal, what there were some blockages that were coming to the surface that were requiring some point of orientation and looking at situations and circumstances from the past, either tangibly having to address them or having to address them on some kind of internal or metaphysical level, so that you could view them from a different perspective. You could make different choices to allow for that blockage to be cleared. Now, what we're really identifying here with this Fool in its reversal is this is a moment that, again, you are taking these leaps of faith. You are taking these new opportunities, but you are doing it with the insight and experience to guide your path as you go forward from this point. So while there is a leap of faith coming through here, this is a leap of faith that is being very judiciously wrought. You are putting a lot of information into it based on your past experiences and your past choices to help guide you into new avenues, new opportunities, new possibilities for yourself and for those that are around you at this time. Now, the third card that we see coming through right now in our 5-card spread is, we have coming to the surface right now the Moon card. What do we see around these areas and situations and circumstances that you are effectively moving away from right now? You are embarking on new journeys. You are allowing new pathways to open right now on your own cycle. But what we're really identifying right now is there is some point of recognition in the unknown that is still at play here. There is some kind of orientation based on the situations and circumstances that you don't necessarily feel that you have the full optics or the full clarification on at this time. But what we're potentially seeing that is happening here with the combination of these cards coming through is this is a moment of navigation, that you're effectively navigating around any circumstances or situations that you feel do not provide you with enough clarity, do not provide you with enough optics. This is that point of insight, being informed not only on the lessons that you have experienced in the past, but also paying a lot of attention and focus to those areas that you do not feel like you have the full understanding of at this time. We like this because what we're really identifying right now is the fact that this is a journey of the self, that there is something that coming through right now, not just about you allowing your actions to inform you in terms of what you know, but also putting a lot of care and attention to the unknowables in circumstances and situations. But what we appreciate about this is we're not seeing We are not seeing a lot of that anxiety coming into play right now. We're not seeing a lot of that self-doubt being the focus that we saw yesterday. But what we really see is almost a sense of curiosity coming back into the move, coming into these things right now, not allowing yourself to orient in a space of feeling a questioning of the self to motivate you at this time, but allowing a moment of insight and experience to lend a sense of curiosity as you proceed forward from this point, which is something that we love to see. Could also have a lot to do with this new approach or this new energy that you're bringing into circumstances and situations today as you take the steps necessary to move forward on your path. The next card that we have coming through right now in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got coming through here, the Queen of Cups in its reversal. So, okay, let's talk about this, because one of the things that we identified that was happening over the last few days, you will keep in mind, it was the fact that there was some moments that we experienced over the last few days that were creating a moment of questioning in oneself, questioning in one's own abilities. For feminine energy specifically yesterday, we did see that there was a point of activation that came into play, balancing the masculine and feminine energy within the feminine self, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to, in order to activate, in order to come into a space of action, even that was pushing and making you push through your own doubts in the self. It was a motivating act to have to experience some of that. Now, we are seeing yesterday, I did point out that there was this moment that was coming into balance for the feminine, because we did see here that this was an act of effort for the feminine energy at that moment, that this was something that they had to actively struggle with yesterday. Today, we do see that some of that emotionality has now kind of tipped over into that activation space, that feminine energy is in a place where they are feeling a lot of that over emotionality today. And for the feminine energy specifically, this will potentially be interpreted in one of two ways. This is either going to show itself to a degree in the fact of an emotional energy being very, very overly expressive today, almost to the point of not being able to bear other people's emotions because of some sense of emotional overwhelm. Similarly, this could have the opposite resulting action of a feminine energy pulling back on their emotionality at this time, closing itself off because they're feeling such an overabundance of emotional energy at this time. This has to do with some of those feelings of the self-doubt or the triggers coming through. Also keeping in mind that feminine energy had to do a lot of work around past situations and past experiences. So for feminine energy today, working in the emotional space may feel like a bit of a challenge area. So just be very cautious as you proceed forward from this point. While for masculine energy today, this could be having to do with a lot of orientation towards the feminine energy that you feel is expressing these traits and characteristics right now. For masculine energy, there could be a feeling right now as it relates to some sense of uncertainty around the emotionality of the feminine energy at play around you at this time, that there may be feeling like there is some point of mystery or uncertainty as it relates to feminine energy's expression of emotionality, where their emotions are. This could be feeling like there is a feminine energy that is either overly emotive, that is creating a point of mystery and confusion for you at this time, or similarly, a feminine energy that is not revealing their emotionality to the degree and to the ability that you would ideally desire, which is creating some sort of gray area here, or some point that has this point of questioning or not necessarily feeling like you have the full clarity of optics of this energy at this time. We see for masculine energy, this could be informing some of this path that you're taking as you go forward at this time, because what we are identifying here is while you may be experiencing this right now, masculine, you're not necessarily letting it necessarily change or block your path. You are trying to move with a state of understanding, but also recognizing right now that this isn't necessarily an energy that's necessarily away from you completely, just that you might not have all of the optics around some circumstances and situations that's play right now. For masculine energy that's in union, this could be working right now with a feminine energy that you understand or recognize is in either a state of emotional overwhelm or has pulled back their own emotionality around circumstances and situations. You could potentially be working in union with this energy to be able to find that path forward, to create a state of easement that will help the feminine energy feel more emotionally balanced at this time. While for the other part of the masculine energy that's not in union, this could be navigating some terrain in terms of how to move towards a feminine energy with this sense of wisdom, with this sense of understanding, trying to activate on what you know around circumstances and situations to help guide your path, but also to build this sense of clarity for yourself going forward in terms of trying to better understand what the feminine energy is experiencing right now. fifth card for our 5-card spread before we start getting clarification on these cards right now. The next card in our spread, the final card for today before we start getting clarification, we have here our 3 of Wands. What did I say about seeing, getting that point of observation right now? For feminine energy right now, one of the things that we identified yesterday was the fact that the feminine energy was going through a moment where there were some anxieties about their own doubts, their own fears, their own anxieties around the long-term future prospects that they were moving into at this time. Feminine energy was moving very actively yesterday with that Queen of Wands energy, but there is a sense of some emotional overwhelm right now around some circumstances and situations. But what we appreciate about this for the feminine energy at this point is even while feminine energy is going through a bit of an emotional overwhelm or feeling some of this emotional anxiety coming into play right now, feminine energy is utilizing this moment to really guide their path forward. This is that point of observation for the feminine, utilizing this change of perspective around situations and circumstances that we identified just a few days ago that required that change of perspective right now to really help see that path going forward. And what we appreciate about this right now is while the feminine energy is feeling a bit emotionally overwhelmed, they're also seeing what they need to see. This is a point of getting optics. Feminine energy is working right now through any circumstances and situations, moving away from anything that's creating any point of uncertainty or just clarity in order to achieve this moment of better understanding in terms of the path and what lies ahead for them at this time. For feminine energy, this could be feeling like a bit of overwhelm, because even while the feminine energy is moving into the state of trying to lay out these plans for themselves, be able to see this path forward, even if it's a short-term path that they can see for themselves, there is a moment of recognizing right now that there is some points of uncertainty, hence leading to the overwhelm. But what we love about this energy for the feminine right now is that emotional feeling of overwhelm is not necessarily stopping you right now from taking the steps that you need to take. There's almost like a complicit understanding that the feminine energy is allowing themselves at this time to help them navigate some of those feelings that they were having and doubting their own abilities at this moment, with a deeper understanding that there is never going to be a moment where the feminine energy can actually see everything or have a complete understanding of something. There's a point of acceptance right now that feminine energy is going to move forward from this point, recognizing that there's going to be some gray areas, even in the place of trying to get as clear optics as possible about what the path ahead looks like. For masculine energy today, what we're really identifying is this is a moment that you yourself are doing everything you can to lay a clear path going forward, even in the face of some situations and circumstances that you may not necessarily feel that you have the full optics on. For masculine energy that is in union right now, you might have to be doing a bit of this work a bit more for the feminine energy right now, particularly because you're identifying that the feminine energy that you're working with right now is at a state of feeling some pieces of emotional overwhelm. Unified energy right now is working to carve this path going forward, potentially to help come into that state of balance, not only for the masculine around situations and circumstances that you may not necessarily feel that you have the full optics on at this point, but also to help create a state of easement and balance for the feminine energy as you move forward from this point. While for the masculine energy that is not in union right now, this is that point of, again, potentially working right now to try to get some clarity, to try to get some optics, specifically potentially even directed towards a feminine energy that you have a lot of concentration towards right now, but you also feel that you don't have a full understanding about their emotionality at this point. Masculine energy is moving right now with a lot of care and insight based on some of the past experiences, taking some of those different approaches that we identified over the last few days, doing something a bit differently than they typically may have done before, all for the sake, masculine energy, of potentially working right now to get that point of clarification around where the emotionality of feminine energy stands at this time, in order to overcome some of the hurdles and blockages that you may be experiencing right now in not necessarily feeling like this emotional energy, this feminine energy, is fully expressing how they feel, or that there's something about their expression that is creating a point of confusion for you. And this is that point of trying to build that center of clarity for yourself as you proceed forward from this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. the next card that we are doing in terms of clarifying between our Four of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Fool energy. We love seeing these cards in combination. These are very well aligned cards, specifically because we see here that with the energy for both masculine and feminine right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. There is a lot of care and attention into moving through any hurdles and blockages, allowing to go forward on your path at this time, but doing it from a very informed center, recognizing that there are some leaps of faith that need to occur. There are some areas right now that you're moving into that you may not necessarily feel that you've experienced before, that there is some kind of like mystery in these, but taking that sense of curiosity as you move forward from this place and allowing yourself to take new approaches with a care and orientation in terms of what has worked in the past versus what hasn't worked in the past. This is that time for new approaches as you go forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. We love to see this card in combination here. We have here our Seven of Swords in its reversal. And why is this card so important right now? Because it's not just the fact that you are moving forward in this direction. You're letting yourself take these new opportunities. You're letting yourself take these pathways, all based on making different choices at this moment, taking some approaches to things that you may not have typically taken in the past. But we also see here that there is some effect right now of working on a deeper sense of healing. That a lot of this work that you're doing at this time is not only about allowing yourself to move forward into new experiences, into new opportunities, but not having to carry the grief that you have been potentially carrying up until this point. This is a moment right now that some of these approaches that you're taking, these new possibilities, these new perspectives, these new points of observation in terms of looking at the choices that you're making versus the ones that you've made in the past, is all in effect allowing you also to shed any feelings of grief, any feelings of doubt, any feelings of sadness as it relates to this path going forward. So we love to see this path opening for masculine and feminine right now, because not only is it informed on the past experiences and the past approaches, but it is allowing for a point of healing, that Devil card in its reversal that we got yesterday, allowing you to abandon and let go of some of those burdens even as you proceed forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Fool card in its reversal in combination with our Moon card. These are two beautiful cards to see in combination, particularly in this way, because this is where we're seeing that approach of the informed traveler, the Fool moving forward, because what we're really identifying here is a moment of you basically moving and coming into understanding that there is some point of clarity right now. There are some moments right now that you may not necessarily feel like you have all of the understanding on. You may not feel like you have all of the information. There could be, again, this point of uncertainty that we saw coming up so heavily yesterday in yesterday's reading. But the difference here is, while yesterday a lot of that point of looking forward was being met with a lot of anxiety, with a lot of fear, with a lot of doubts, in your own self and your own ability, we see here that you are allowing this moment of opportunity to just push forward, to push through this, but you're not doing so at a moment right now and doubting the self. This is a point of acceptance that we see in understanding that there's no way to have absolute clarity on what that path ahead looks like for you. But the most that you can do right now is make the choices that you need to make from the most informed space possible, having those observations on the past experiences to help guide and motivate your actions at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Empress card, which we also love to see. So for feminine energy and masculine energy, this will feel a bit different, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For feminine energy, look at all the emotionality that's coming through right now for the feminine energy. We've got our Queen of Cups in its reversal in combination with the Empress card, but this is what we like to see about this. The feminine energy is going through a moment right now of some emotional overwhelm. That point of balance that we saw yesterday has effectively shifted. The feminine's coming more into their emotional center right now. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because feminine energy is taking that emotional overwhelm and they're alchemizing it. They're integrating it. They're coming back into a love of the self with it. A lot of this emotional overwhelm that we see the feminine is doing right now is actually a bit of this emotional breakthrough moment that they're allowing themselves at this time. Taking that energy, manifesting it into a sense of passion, a sense of attraction, creative endeavors, anything that makes the feminine really come into this state of fertility, coming into this place of taking that emotionality and turning it into fertile emotional ground for the feminine. Recognizing right now that there is something about this path that the feminine is moving into right now that is an acceptance of the fact that there are some situations and circumstances where they may not necessarily feel that they have the full optics at this moment. But feminine energy is embracing that mystery today. Feminine energy is embracing that uncertainty. We're not seeing, as we did yesterday, those points of uncertainty, of doubt and fear coming through. This is that feminine energy having channeled those doubts and those fears that were leading to some of that emotional overwhelm and turning it into rife ground in terms to be able to build from. Feminine energy is channeling that emotional center right now in the most productive way possible, hence allowing them to move forward even in the face of situations and circumstances they don't necessarily feel they have the full optics on. Now, for masculine energy, what we are really identifying is this is a moment that you yourself are also moving forward at this moment. There is a recalibration point that we're seeing here for you as well, because even while yesterday you were mirroring the masculine and the feminine energy, we're mirroring that space of doubt, of fear, of uncertainty coming to the surface, doubting one's own self, doubting one's own ability. What we really identify right now is masculine energy is moving forward with that same sense of conviction, even in the face of some feelings of uncertainty in terms of situations and circumstances that they are moving into right now. For the masculine energy that is in union, this is a moment that one of the reasons that you are feeling aided and abetted in terms of being able to take this process for yourself going forward is potentially because you are feeling the support of a very open feminine energy that is allowing some degree of ballast in your own emotional center, giving you the confidence to move forward in this capacity, even in the face of your own doubts and fears at this time. For some of the masculine energy right now, this is working in union with this feminine energy that is similarly taking this journey with you at this time. Well, for the other part of the masculine energy right now, this could be moving right now with a lot of care and direction towards a feminine energy that you identify or recognize is in this vibration. Being able to recognize and see this energy that you are moving towards right now with a lot of intentionality. Again, seeing that point of uncertainty coming into the fold right now. Situations or circumstances around this energy that you may not necessarily feel that you have the full optics on. But what we're really identifying for the masculine energy right now is this is a moment that you're not letting any of this uncertainty effectively block you. You're in fact utilizing this just with a level and care of degree of more certainty that something about the things you don't know are actually leading you towards this energy to try to get clarification on those situations or circumstances that you feel are a bit of a mystery to you at this time. While for masculine energy right now, what we're really for feminine energy that is not in union, this is all about the self right now. This is all about that journey of the self, allowing yourself to embody even in the states and places that have created any overwhelm, just letting them kind of build you into a space that you can shed any of the grief of the past, even as you pursue new avenues for yourself at this moment, embracing the mystery in a positive way that is helping you alchemize your own emotionality into productive places and spaces right now. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Moon card in combination with our Queen of Cups in its reversal. Very intriguing cards to see in combination right now, because what we're really doing right now and what we're really recognizing is there is a moment right now. Again, feminine energy is in a state that there is emotionality here. Feminine energy is doing its best to channel that emotional energy, though, into creative and passionate pursuits at this moment. Embracing the mystery, finding that point of delight to a certain extent in what they are feeling to help them navigate that center. That something about this over emotionality in the feminine right now is making them go into almost a deeper journey of the self to pursue and investigate what they're feeling and understand themselves better, hence coming into the Empress energy. While for masculine energy right now, this is again a moment that you are working either in union right now with the feminine energy to try to overcome any situations or circumstances that you may be feeling are creating this point of uncertainty for you. This is recognizing or having some point of objectivity with the feminine energy in order to overcome any hurdles in terms of building that clarity in those situations and circumstances that you feel you do not have all the optics to right now. While for the other part of the masculine energy that's not in union right now, this could be a moment that you are putting a lot of care and consideration around a feminine energy that you feel is either, again, in a state where they are expressing emotionality that is confusing you, or they have pulled back on their emotionality so you're not sure what they are feeling, and that in itself is also confusing you because you don't necessarily feel like you have the optics around that energy at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Wands in its upright, and we love to see this card today. What are we seeing here? Remember what I said with that renewed sense of optimism coming into play. You will remember if you watched the daily collective read yesterday, you can find it on my YouTube channel. A lot of doubt, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fears coming to the surface yesterday. For feminine, it required them to come into a point of power, of activation. For masculine, it was requiring an emotional offer to be put forth, opening up on some emotional level in order to overcome some of that blockage. For both masculine and feminine energy right now, there is this movement right now towards places and spaces of victory. For feminine energy right now, this is feeling like a moment that, again, this is an overcoming of one's own emotionality. What we're really identifying right now for the feminine energy is there is a moment that you yourself are going through that is feeling like a bit of an emotionally overwhelming experience. It is making you pursue deeper understanding of the self right now, looking and objectively around situations and circumstances within oneself that you don't even necessarily understand exactly what you are feeling. But there's something about this investigation right now for the feminine that feels like it's leading to a point of victory. Why is it leading to a point of victory? Because we're seeing here that the feminine energy isn't being blocked by that emotional expression. Rather, they are channeling it into productive spaces and places right now. It's becoming a deeper investigation of the self, hence the curiosity, hence that ability to move forward, hence the victory inherent, even as they are feeling this point that feels a bit emotionally overwhelming. For the other part of the feminine masculine, for the masculine energy right now, this is going to be a bit different, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For masculine energy right now, if you are in union, this is effectively potentially working right now around a feminine energy that is, again, experiencing some moments of doubts or fears coming through around their own emotionality, seeing some things, working through any areas that feel like you don't necessarily have that point of clarity on. And we see that there is a mutual moment right now that while there is some emotional uncertainty here, there is an overriding feeling of victory for the feminine and masculine energy that's in union right now that is allowing you to share this journey, that is allowing you to work through these spaces and places, because we're seeing here that there is a feminine energy that's aligned to this, that even while there are emotionally overflowing, we do see here that they're using it in a productive way, hence allowing for this point of victory to be achieved. For the masculine energy that is not in union right now, this is potentially working right now towards a feminine energy that, again, you are seeing and experiencing some moment of confusion as it relates to the emotionality of this energy. For some of the masculine collective right now, this could be having experienced a feminine energy that emotionally has delivered something to you that you yet don't necessarily understand. But you are working right now and you feel like there is something here about trying to understand it better to lead to a point of victory, because something about this overexpression almost gives you some kind of insight that there is some kind of opportunity, there is some kind of emotionality there. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, This is a moment that you are feeling some expression of a feminine energy who has pulled back their emotional center, who has pulled away from you emotionally. You are doing that work right now to try to unlock and understand what may have required that. And even here we see that there is this sense of optimism here, because I'm recognizing for that masculine energy that in both regards there's something here about this withdrawal or this pullback right now that is helping the masculine energy recognize that there's some feeling that there is obviously something there, and that something there is something that can be worked through to be able to find that point of achievement. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Three of Wands. So again, for feminine and masculine, this will feel a bit different. For feminine energy, what we see right now that is so important is while you are feeling and experiencing some moment of emotional overwhelm, we see that you're getting a lot better at alchemizing this. You're not necessarily getting stuck or blocked in that emotionality. Rather, you are channeling that over emotionality into that perspective, looking forward, planning, guiding yourself ahead, holding that emotional balance in play, feeling that emotional overwhelm even as you set this course forward. You're experiencing it, it's overwhelming, but it's not blocking you, hence turning it into alchemized Empress energy right now. Working right now on building this path going forward right now, even at that moment of feeling some of that energy. While for masculine energy right now, this is a moment that you yourself are trying to carve that path forward right now. Again, with a lot of care and attention towards a feminine energy that you are potentially recognizing is in at that state of emotional overwhelm. For some of the masculine energy right now, this is either, if you are working in union, this is having to deal with a feminine energy that may be overly emotive at this time, helping to lay some of that clarity to overcome any of the confusions that that energy is currently experiencing. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, this could be a moment that you are addressing either a point where, again, a feminine energy is either creating a point of confusion right now as it relates to where they are emotionally, but you are doing a lot of work right now to try to get those optics, to try to get that clarity as you pursue forward towards this energy. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Wheel of Fortune and it's upright. Wheel of Fortune and it's upright. We love seeing this. We love seeing this card upright. Why do we love seeing this card and it's upright today? Because we saw it in its reversal yesterday. This is that shift of perspective that we needed. This is that movement into productive spaces instead of getting caught in moments of self-doubt, of self-fear, of uncertainty. For masculine and feminine energy, this is the clearing up of the blockage. For feminine energy, what we're really recognizing is feminine energy is recognizing right now that the blockage was internal. That the blockage was internal is what we're almost seeing here for the feminine energy. Because what we're really seeing right now is this change of perspective was definitely needed to allow oneself to be in a place of emotional expression, but also find the path forward that was going to help you shed some of that grief. For feminine energy, shedding that grief around the over emotionality, what was required to find that path forward at this point. So for feminine energy, there is this moment that we see and recognize that even while you may be feeling a point of, again, emotional overwhelm, you are channeling that emotional overwhelm in a productive way and space right now, laying that path ahead for yourself at this moment, falling into this moment of accepting some of the situations and circumstances that you're moving into right now, coming into alignment or feeling like you are in alignment with your path. There is this feeling, again, for feminine of coming back into a cycle that feels like it is aligned to their long-term goals and their long-term purposes. But we see what is so important here with the feminine energy is this is not an overview. It's not an over concentration on the future, which can sometimes act as a blockage, just as much of it. This is feminine grounding in the present. This is feminine grounding in the present experience, allowing themselves to have this feeling of emotional expression, even if they're in a state of over emotionality. The purpose and the way to come into this space is falling into the present and allowing themselves to embody the present as much as possible at this moment. That is helping them come into deeper alignment and embrace the mystery of what could happen in the future. This is creating a moment of feminine coming into a state of deep grounding that's helping the feminine energy come back into their empress, channel in this present moment. For masculine energy right now, this is a moment that is going to feel a bit different, because what we're identifying here is for the masculine energy that is in union. This could be working right now with a lot of energy towards a feminine that is, again, either experiencing a point of emotional overwhelm or helping navigate this, but you are working right now to set that point in terms of being able to look forward. Let this be a grounding moment. Help build that path ahead without an over concentration on what the future holds. Mutually embracing the fact that you're going to do the best that you can in this present moment to lay that path ahead, and then see in terms of working in terms of the cycle of fate. So this is a beautiful energy for the masculine and feminine energy that is in union at this time. While for the masculine energy that is not in union at this time, this is a moment that, again, there is a point of trying to lay that plan ahead is what we're really seeing. Again, with a concentration right now around potentially a feminine energy, that you are trying to get a better understanding of the emotionality of that energy. This is either an overly expressive emotional feminine energy or a feminine energy that's pulled back their own emotionality. But you are using your powers of observation towards this feminine energy at this time. You are trying to observe this feminine energy. You're trying to understand this feminine energy. This is that grounding moment for you as well that is helping you get into better alignment with understanding that this is a moment that is not necessarily blocking you, but one that is helping you get back into alignment with your own self at this time. Putting some things into, again, trusting in fate, having that trust in fate, allowing for those karmic blockages to be unblocked, because we see here that even with the masculine energy, there's something here that is also kind of laying that path ahead for the future, even in the face of what you're experiencing feels like some sort of blockage. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Six of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Empress energy. We love to see this right now. What are we seeing for the feminine energy? Why is the feminine energy coming into a state of being able to navigate into their emotional center again? Feminine energy is doing a lot of active work. They're putting their concentration right now in grounding in the present moment and letting go of grief. Letting go of grief. It's not just the goal right now to move forward. It is a goal of letting go of grief as they do so, coming into embody their emotionality, accept their emotionality, resisting the point of moving with a sense of grief, but instead an intentionality on their own abundance as they proceed forward from this point, channeling that emotionality into that energy of love, of vulnerability, allowing that expression to occur, something that we have not seen for quite some time. This has been a hurdle. If you guys have been keeping track with the feminine energy, one of the hurdles that we've been identifying is feminine energy has been having issues around being able to be vulnerable, but also be emotionally expressive, right? This is a lot of that overcoming of that hurdle that we're seeing, because the grief was what was blocking the feminine energy from coming into their Empress energy. May I please have one card to clarify? Whoop, there it is. Oh my goodness, we love this today. What has happened? What happened when everybody went to sleep last night? This is beautiful. What are we seeing here? We love this energy. We love seeing this energy here. Look at this. For masculine, and thank you for the gift, for masculine and feminine energy right now, this is that point of empowerment coming out. Yesterday we had a rough reading. Yesterday we saw a lot of blockages, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of self-fears. You will recall for feminine energy, the way through the self-doubt and self-fears was that point of pushing through, embodying some of that masculine energy, taking it on as their own to be able to activate, to do the things you have to do, even against your own anxieties and fears and doubts, coming out of any kind of imposter syndrome, if you will, and just pushing through regardless. For masculine energy, that abandonment wound being triggered yesterday was causing you to have a moment of going into your feminine center, opening up in some vulnerable way, accepting that point of vulnerability, offering that emotional expression, coming forward in a way that felt very emotional to you at that time. What we see here is there's something that has happened right now about taking some of these new approaches that's so important, because for both masculine and feminine energy right now, there is a conviction, there is a mutual conviction to find that path forward for oneself without having to carry the sense of grief or loss from the past as you proceed to do so. For feminine energy, this is that moment of coming into a space where you are emotionally available again. You're opening up your own heart space. You are allowing this over emotionality to alchemize into this state of abundance for yourself at this time. While for masculine energy right now, what we're really identifying is this is a moment that allowing that emotionality through, allowing yourself to open your own heart space, has effectively brought you into a sense of empowerment, brought you into a sense of planning. And we can see here how yesterday's positions have impacted each's energy, because the emotional offer that the masculine brought towards the feminine as they were feeling a moment of masculine energy brought the feminine back into balance with their emotional center. Though it is a little overwhelming to experience this for the feminine, feminine's better with an emotional overwhelm. While for masculine energy, feminine coming into their power, standing in their strength, while the masculine energy was feeling vulnerable. For the energies that are working on their karmic healing path, that empowered the masculine to get back into their masculine center, or coming into that more activated energy. So for feminine and masculine right now, we see that there is this point of easement that's coming through right now, because it's not just the feeling that you can move forward in this way, but there's something about a point of healing that's been reached in terms of you being able to shed some of the doubt and the grief of the past as you proceed forward from this point. For both masculine and feminine energy, this is going to feel like a very empowering day. For masculine energy, we're seeing a lot of planning, passion, communication being communicated. For feminine, we're seeing a lot of receptivity to passion, planning, communication that is received. So beautiful receptivity right now between masculine and feminine energy. For the masculine and feminine energy that's in union, this is beautiful. This is gangbusters. For the masculine and feminine energy that is not in union, this is that moment that, again, there is this challenge. And you'll point out for the masculine energy right now, what we're almost seeing is there's a fact that even if things are not necessarily in a good place with an emotional feminine energy, there is something that's coming into play that's making you recognize that this feminine is in this point of receptivity that is allowing you to feel that there's this path forward at this time. You are feeling more communicative. You're feeling more confident today to be able to move towards that energy that you feel is receptive. While for feminine energy right now, there is a point that you yourself are feeling very open. You're feeling much more available to receive those types of offers, to receive those types of messages, because you're coming back into your own energy of passion, of expression, of receptivity. So beautiful energy here for both masculine and feminine. We are still seeing a bit of that mirror, though we like this. This isn't necessarily a mirror moment. I will point out, this is what we want to see. You guys don't want these guys doing the same thing. We want them playing nice together in the yard, if you will. I showed you guys. You guys kept asking me when they were in alignment. They were in alignment like a week ago, and it was a mess because nobody was doing anything because they were doing the exact same thing. This is better. This is what we want to see. We want to see the counterpart energy. We want to see them working in union, doing different things. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between our Empress card in combination with our Six of Wands, feminine energy is moving right now in this space of coming into their emotional center, allowing this openness, allowing this vulnerability, but feeling a sense of empowerment, attracting what they desire towards themselves at this moment with a lot of focus. Feminine energy is focusing. How is feminine energy abandoning this grief? How is feminine energy doing it? She's focusing on success. She's focusing on victory. She's focusing on the spaces and places that she recognizes and sees victory on right now. A lot of feminine manifestation right now on focusing on that highest goal, that highest outcome, that highest possibility, manifesting the good instead of manifesting what is not working. This is what's keeping feminine energy in this vibration of abundance right now. This is a lot of feminine energy that's working very actively on an abundance mindset as they proceed forward from this time. For masculine energy right now, this is working right now, again, either in union with the feminine energy that is able, or it shows this ability to manifest their own internal sense of abundance. That is creating something that feels very attractive towards you. We see that you are feeling this point of success, either working in operation with this energy right now for mutual success going forward from this point, or for the other part of the masculine collective right now. This is moving with a lot of purpose towards a feminine energy that you are feeling some sense of victory in. You're feeling that there is some kind of victory here that is achievable around a feminine energy. Either recognizing, even through some of the hurdles that you may be experiencing around communication blocks, you're not necessarily concerned about them, because you're even seeing here that there's something about the things that you don't understand around this energy right now that shows some ability or conviction of this energy still having some emotionality for you at this time, which is giving you some of this empowerment to move forward at this moment. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now. Practical issues. Practical concerns. Practical concerns are the order of the day today, because what we're really identifying right now is for masculine and feminine energy right now, we're almost getting a sense that it's not necessarily the path that you're shaping ahead for yourself at this moment that's the concern. It's more the immediate circumstances that you find yourself in right now. For both masculine and feminine energy, there is some addressing of practical issues that are potentially coming into play today. But again, we're almost seeing that this isn't so much of a worry point, because to me, I'm actually identifying here that what the masculine and feminine are doing, and the reason they're able to maintain this point of victory, is kind of seeing here that any of these situations that are causing any blockages right now feel more incidental, feel more circumstantial, feel more like they are tangibly able to be adjusted and changed. They aren't necessarily full-blown blockers. For feminine energy, this is a lot, and for masculine, this is a lot of coming back into not like, I'm getting here, like not catastrophizing things, because what we did identify yesterday, where there was a bit of like catastrophizing that was happening, especially as it relates to like looking at the future, having all of these doubts on the future, questioning your own abilities. This is feminine and masculine energy kind of like coming back into their center and recognizing that maybe the things that they're feeling that are creating that state of crisis aren't necessarily like a long-term issue, so much as they're just a practical moment. There's a practical moment. There's something about downplaying these practical moments right now, of recognizing them for what they are. An immediate hurdle is an immediate hurdle. It doesn't necessarily spell disaster forever and ever and ever, like we saw with some of the reading of the cards yesterday with that Wheel of Fortune and its reversal. This is getting one's like head wrapped around a situation. This is looking at the practical concerns of something and recognizing that the practical concerns doesn't necessarily mean that the whole plan of something is missing or unaligned. It just means that you're experiencing a practical hurdle. For feminine energy right now, this is how feminine energy is moving out of any of that grief or fear mentality that we saw coming out of the play yesterday. For feminine energy right now, what we're really seeing is this is that moment of, again, like coming into your own center, even around anything you might have gotten overly emotional about. Because this is that recognition point between the feminine energy saying, like, what is it that I'm truly working to achieve? Am I moving in that direction? Feminine's like, yes, I'm keeping that abundance mindset right now. But there are some like little things that effectively might be affecting the feminine's energy. But we see here she's downplaying them today. She's saying that these are achievably fixed. These are fixable things. For masculine energy, this is potentially working again in union with the feminine energy. That could be a moment of feeling some point of victory, because you're recognizing that any of the concerns that they may be having at this moment are practical concerns. They're practical concerns. They're easily fixed. And the masculine energy potentially could be working right now around a feminine energy, helping them recognize this if you're in union, to help them understand and identify that maybe some of the concerns that the feminine energy had at this moment are just practical issues that can be easily addressed, that can be easily fixed. And masculine energy is experiencing that moment of victory right now at this time, because to me, what we're actually seeing here is the fact that the masculine energy that's in union is not necessarily seeing a problem that they can't find a solution to. that they can't, it's not that they can't find the solution to it, and helping to downplay and work through these like tangibles right now is what's leading this feeling of, again, collaboration with the feminine energy to overcome any immediate challenges as you have recognized the fact that you are in alignment in terms of that path going forward at this time. For the masculine energy, again, that's not in union. This is very similar energy right now. That what you're looking right now with a point of optimism towards the feminine energy, even any feminine energy that you feel is like coming through in some kind of blockage here, because you're almost downplaying some of these concerns. For some of the masculine collective right now, this could be downplaying some of the emotionality or the lack of understanding around emotionality that you were feeling from the feminine energy, because you're really looking at it right now as a practical concern that you feel that you can amend and adjust for. But that ultimately you are recognizing that this feminine energy is open and receptive to you in some way, and that this is that moment of kind of feeling that point of victory, even around any energy that you feel like isn't as emotionally communicative, or feeling some kind of blocked energy on, or experienced any kind of emotional over-emotionality from. For feminine energy, we love this. This is just feminine energy coming back into their center and not sweating the small stuff. Like really looking at things from a place and being like, is this a small problem or is this a big problem? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Six of Wands in its upright, in combination right now with our Wheel of Fortune. So for both masculine and feminine energy right now, beautiful energy today, because what we're really seeing is for both masculine and feminine energy right now, you are focusing on your spaces of places of feeling a victory and achievement. You're either experiencing a moment right now where you recognize or feeling some practical, tangible achievement that you are celebrating right now, or you are working right now in a space of really keeping an abundance mindset as you proceed forward at this time. And that is helping that is helping you right now feel this sense of success, of victory that is on the horizon, as you feel like you are allowing yourself to surrender to fate to a certain extent with this path that you are setting forward for yourself in this moment. Excuse me. Clarification coming through right now with Ace of Pentacles. What am I saying about this being practical issues? This is for both masculine and feminine energy right now. One of the things that I think is really intriguing is there's some kind of definition point that's coming to the surface right now between the difference between feeling like you are in alignment, feeling like you are moving in the right direction, versus recognizing something that feels like a tangible block, something that feels like it's requiring you to overinvest. And this is what I think is really beautiful about what we're seeing in the cards right now. This is that point of recalibration that we're identifying. This is some of that change of perspective that was needed as we saw you going into a healing cycle yesterday. Because for both masculine and feminine energy right now, it's not the moment of recognizing that everything isn't perfect right now. But there is a moment that is coming through right now that is identifying the fact that there is a need to effectively overly invest and overly commit in some areas right now, but that this point of overcommitment is not a lost cause. That there's something here, again, looking at the practicals, looking at the situations and circumstances that you don't feel are necessarily operating in this way. This is that point of excitement or energy that's going towards them, because this is looking at any of those hurdles and just addressing the fact that there is this feeling of potentially needing to overinvest in something right now in order to achieve long-term victory, long-term goals, long-term opportunities at this time. This is that moment of recalibration and reorientation. Again, not sweating the small stuff, kind of saying to yourself, if there's anything that's a practical issue, we can take care of that. Even if it requires a little bit of overinvestment in some areas, all for the sake of feeling like the overinvestment of time, energy, practical situations right now is worth it, as it relates to some circumstances and situations that you feel are going to lead you on that path to long-term victory. This is that realignment point in trusting in your own path at this time for both masculine and feminine energy. And what we're really seeing here is a commitment, a willingness to overcommit in certain things right now as we see that you're moving towards your passions. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Wands in combination with our 9 of Pentacles in its reversal. So for masculine energy right now, there is a moment that is coming through here about coming into a space of feeling like you are taking a lot of energy today to plan, to navigate any situations that you feel are not necessarily ideal. Potentially a lot of effort being put in the masculine space right now to overcome any practical concerns, any practical hurdles. But we see here that the masculine energy isn't shying away from this work today. Masculine energy is feeling very activated. They're feeling very energized. They're utilizing their powers of planning, communication, and passion to overcome and address any practical hurdles that they feel are experiencing or blocking them on the practical plane right now. For feminine energy right now, this is a moment of, again, putting a lot of work right now in addressing your own situations and circumstances on the tangible front, working to overcome any of these tangible hurdles that you're currently experiencing. Either working, again, in collaboration with the masculine energy that's giving and providing insight and advice as you proceed forward from this point to help you overcome any of these practical hurdles. Or for the other half of the feminine collective right now, this is effectively working on a space right now in terms of putting a lot of care and attention in your own space, in your own environment, as you continue to manifest from an abundance mindset. A masculine energy that you would ideally desire has this ability of communication, has this ability of productivity, even as you work to overcome some immediate tangible hurdles. May I please have one card to clarify? Falling on the floor. Work. Work, 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 work. We love seeing this card in its upright. How are you going to address the tangible hurdles? How are you going to address the tangible hurdles? You're going to work. You're going to work on it. You're going to work on it. For both masculine and feminine energy right now, there's a lot of care and orientation into concentration on what it is that you're trying to grow for yourself at this moment. For feminine energy right now, even now, there is a moment that you are working on. Feminine is, again, they're in their Empress energy. They're in their abundance mindset. They're working to manifest abundance for themselves right now. Feminine energy is concentrated right now on practical matters, on practical concerns, with a deep focus on working and building and creating for themselves the things that they need to create. Hence that over investment right now energy in the places and spaces that they are very passionate about. For feminine energy that is in union, this is working potentially in union right now with masculine energy that is providing guidance, providing support, providing communication, even as you work to overcome any tangible issues or blockages as you move into a space of heightened productivity at this time. For the feminine energy that is not in union right now, this is effectively working to overcome any immediate blockages in your own space, in your own environment, in your own day-to-day life, all for the effort of working as effectively as you can, working to effectively manifest a masculine energy that you feel is able to be communicative, passionate, supportive. Why? Because you're in your abundance energy. You're generating this towards you at your time. You're actively manifesting this energy towards you. You're not just actively working right now on your tangible space, but you're actively working to manifest masculine energy that is in this energetic frequency at this time as well. This is also allowing the feminine energy to shed anything that they don't feel is necessarily in alignment with them at this time. Hence that 6 of Swords in its reversal. Now, for masculine energy, this is masculine energy just working to overcome any hurdles right now, particularly in the practical space, because we do see here with this King of Wands coming through that masculine is in a point of activation today as it relates to communication, as it relates to passion, as it relates to planning. There is immediately a lot of care and attention we're seeing the masculine is putting forth right now, actually towards practical issues, working to overcome practical issues with a lot of concentration on what they are trying to create at this moment for themselves. This could even be a way or not even related to the feminine energy, because there's something around the feminine energy here that the masculine energy is feeling like there is some point of receptivity around that energy, even if they aren't necessarily moving with a lot of directionality towards it right now. Because I do see here for the masculine energy that's not in union, I don't see a lot of movement towards the feminine energy. There's more of just kind of like this feeling or understanding that this feminine energy is open and available to you, which is also kind of allowing you to put some care and attention into your own work and moving in the direction of your own work at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. For masculine and feminine energy right now, this is a lot of that practical concern coming to the surface today. A lot of care and attention being put into practical spaces today because there's some kind of recognition coming to the forefront right now about addressing anything that feels like it is a practical, tangible hurdle, working through anything that you feel is creating a sense of immediate dis-ease. But we also like this because it's not over extrapolating that into like a bigger issue. It's just tackling what needs to be addressed and overly investing, overly potentially committing in those areas right now to allow for that state of easement as you go forward from this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, he's back again. We love to see this. We've got our Knight of Cups coming to the table. This is what we like to see. For both masculine and feminine energy right now, we are identifying this moment that, again, there are some practical issues that are needing to be concerned today. There is a lot of over-concentration or over-investment today around feminine and masculine in trying to address immediate blockages and hurdles, potentially around your immediate space, your immediate environment, anything that you feel is preventing you from being able to do the things that you want to do to the way you effectively want to do them. A lot of work in the practical space today. For masculine energy, there's a moment right here. This is some of that uplift that we've been seeing, recognized. It's the same energy that we saw yesterday. Masculine energy is in a space of some kind of emotional offer, some kind of emotional opportunity coming forth from space or place where they're opening themselves up on an emotional level. Even as they put a lot of care and attention here, this could be effectively, potentially how the masculine energy is working on coming into an approach with the feminine energy. Why? This could even identify right now that there may have been some practical concerns around a feminine energy as it relates to some immediate situations around them at this time. Masculine energy is putting considerable work right now into overcoming some tangible blockages. Why? Because that is the way they feel that they can come forward with the emotional offer. The masculine energy doesn't just want to come forward with an emotional offer. The masculine energy needs to couch. The masculine energy needs to couch the emotional offer in the solution of a problem. That the masculine energy is offering this solution to the problem, if you will, as a way to divert the fact that it is truly an emotional expression. So that's one of the things that's potentially happening right now around some of the masculine energy. Just pay attention to that and take that as it will. So what you'll may have noted today is if there's some kind of energy that comes towards you in some way, being able to offer something on a practical level, that is the emotional expression, feminine. That will be the emotional expression. The tangible solution that is being presented will be the emotional expression. For the masculine energy, this is the way that you're effectively communicating your emotions right now. It's actually where you're putting your time and energy to overcome any immediate concerns or challenges that are being brought to the surface, which is very sweet. For the feminine energy right now, this is a moment that you yourself are working through right now. Again, you are putting a lot of care and attention in addressing and working through any immediate challenges that you're experiencing. For the feminine energy, while you are in an abundance mindset today, we do see the fact that it is requiring you to really overcommit and overinvest in the tangible department right now. But again, for feminine energy that is doing this work, it is because you are feeling the support either in union right now of a masculine energy that is giving you emotional support as you mutually both do this today, because we're seeing the masculine energy is also doing that today. For the feminine energy that is not in union, this is again working through right now and just maintaining and doing your thing, putting your effort in, putting your energy in where it needs to be. And just kind of, being a bit more nonchalant and being like, if masculine energy comes forward with emotionality, that's great. But we notice here the feminine energy isn't really paying a lot of attention to the masculine energy right now, unless it comes forward they come forward with some kind of emotional offer. And where's that emotional offer coming through with the feminine right now? Planning, communication, planning and communication. Feminine energy is working on abundance and attraction of themselves at this moment, but they're not putting any work. I'm not seeing a lot of this feminine energy moving with that much directionality towards any feminine masculine energy right now, because they're putting so much care in their own self, in their own work, manifesting abundance for themselves right now, waiting for those masculine offers to come in, waiting or manifesting those masculine offers. Feminine energy, this is why the feminine energy is releasing anything that isn't holding, that is creating too much grief. Because feminine energy is concentrating on themselves. They're concentrating on their own abundance. They're attracting and manifesting that abundance right now. And feminine energy is only keeping the door open for two things. These are those healthy boundaries that we talked about the feminine setting over the last few weeks. Feminine energy is looking for emotional expressions and plans. Plans, communication, emotional expression. That's what feminine's in a practical space right now. She wants that practicality. She's not chasing after anything right now. There's a lot of attraction that's coming in here, a lot of that abundance mindset. And feminine energy is in a space where they're very much willing to wait for that right now because they know what they're manifesting. Final card for today's spread before we do our bottom of the deck message. Sorry about that. I just accidentally flipped the screen. Bear with me one moment. Let's do that. Get back here. Apologies for that. Final card right now before we continue. Final card for the day. Just bear with me 1 second. Between our 8 of Pentacles in combination with our Knight of Cups. So what are we really seeing here? We are seeing right here a moment of, again, for feminine and masculine energy, this will feel a bit different, okay? For feminine energy right now, this is that moment of, again, putting in this care and concentration around what you are working, in terms of what you are building, in terms of what you are trying to grow right now. For masculine energy, there is something that is very much coming into play right now with this idea of bringing in something that is not only something that you want to care about right now, but something that is close to your heart. For masculine energy right now, this is going to feel like a bit of a dual work, because what we really see here is you are putting a lot of care and attention in terms of what you want to put your time and energy into, but also something that has a lot of emotional import to you, something that has a lot of emotional value at this time. For some of the masculine energy right now, this is where that care and energy is. For both masculine and feminine today, we see that there's a lot of attention in terms of what you're trying to grow for yourself at this point. For feminine energy right now, there is a moment that, again, you are putting a lot of concentration in what you're trying to do right now, what you're trying to build, what you're trying to grow for yourself at this moment. And again, either working in union with a masculine energy that is giving you this emotional support as you continue to build, as you continue to try to grow this. You're getting either that active emotional support as you do this work today, or you are working on your own work right now while being in a manifesting abundance mindset, working to manifest masculine energy that shows this degree and capacity of being able to offer this type of emotional expression to you, to have that ability to articulate on their own emotionality at this time, which is why you're not necessarily working so hard to build this for yourself right now. It's something that you're basically waiting on because you recognize you don't necessarily want to chase after that type of energy. You want it to come towards you in this way. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Judgment in its reversal. Judgment in its reversal. This is very intriguing because if this card looks familiar, we pulled it as the card of the day just a couple days ago. This is a reconsideration point. But what we appreciate about this, I think that this is a good reconsideration point, right? Because what we're really identifying right now is we saw a lot of that hard decision energy coming through over the last few days. That moment of saying I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. We'll always do this. We'll always do that. There is a moment right now that we're real. And what did we see on the other side of that ultimatum energy? What did we see on the other side of that? we saw a lot of questioning of oneself. What we really identified coming through in the cards was that there was a big decision that you felt like you had to reach, right? There was this big moment that felt like you were going through all of these things that made you feel like you had to take this big decision that you had to make. But for masculine and feminine energy, this is that moment that you're like, these aren't big decisions. These aren't like won it and done it. And like, now that we've made this decision, everything is like great. This is a moment of recalibration. This is, again, the grace of the Judgment card in its reversal, because what we love about this and what we actually figured out, this is why that Judgment card was so difficult when we received it. What happened when we got that Judgment card for the card of the day? Do you remember what happened? The judgment was on yourself. The judgment was on yourself, because as soon as we drew that Judgment card, there was a questioning and doubting in oneself, in one's ability to manifest what you're trying to manifest right now. That is where we can sometimes see that Judgment card can be a bit of a sticky, tricky card, even when it's in its upright, because what we really identified was that judgment moment that came into play was a judgment that immediately hit you back. It was recognizing that that point of judgment was creating a space where you were judging yourself too harshly. So the overabundant message here for today is a reconsideration point. The gift, again, why we don't hate all cards in its reversal, it is the gift of reconsideration. And what we love about this is a reconsideration point that is providing an ability to reframe your own perspective on things to allow you to move into a space that feels more functional, that feels more productive for both masculine and feminine energy. For feminine energy right now, this is reframing on some of the issues, the practical issues that you were experiencing, that is allowing you to get back to work to a certain capacity because you're coming back into your abundance mindset. For masculine energy right now, this is a moment that you are reconsidering your own emotional opportunities. You'll remember we saw some rash action on the part of masculine energy a few days ago with that Knight of Swords coming through. Again, even in its upright, that Knight of Swords energy can be very reactive, right? It has a sword. It moves forward. It doesn't think so much before it moves. Masculine energy right now is having a reconsideration point about where they're putting their emotional offers or what they're emotionally communicating that also feels like it is more productive at this time. For both masculine and feminine energy, we love to see this Judgment card in its reversal, because what it really indicates to us is this is a point of reconsidering, a readjustment, reorientation. This is allowing for a return to something, perceiving it in a different way, all for the effect of emotionality to come through and productivity. Bottom of the deck on this reading, we have here Eight of Cups. Even in the midst of this path going forward, there is an orientation of optics, of acceptance around the fact that there is this letting go that needs to be required here. There is this shedding of energy. This is that grief energy that we see coming through here with our Six of Swords. These are circumstances and situations that you have to move away from right now that you may not have desired to. For one reason or another, things may not have played out the way that you have ultimately hoped for. There was a moment right now of feeling like a choice does need to be made that is requiring you to move away from other opportunities, from moving away from other choices. We're feeling here for both feminine and masculine, there is this state of empowerment as you do so right now, but there still is a little dose of regret. This is a moment of feeling that moment of regret as you move away from something. But again, an understanding and coming into a point of acceptance that this is necessary to guide your path as you move forward from this point. that is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and sharing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. Thank you for the gift. My private readings are done over video with the option of a recording sent to you afterwards. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. I also want to remind you that my booking a reading on my website is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you hit both buttons if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, my friends, I want to remind you that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never inbox you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very special message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for sharing this reading with me today, and we will do this again tomorrow.